So many people gonna disagree with this video. So many people gonna disagree. I don't even want to see the comment section. What's up, everybody? Today, we're talking about 10 Light Dark Nat 5s that need buffs in 2019. Oh, God. It just opens up. Oh, is that a can of worms? Let's open that. What could possibly be inside? So here's the thing. When someone summons, I know a lot of people don't have Light Dark Nat 5s, and I know handfuls of people do have Light Dark Nat 5s. Anytime someone summons a Light Dark Nat 5, they want it to be this game-breaking, game-changing, OP, ridiculous thing that is going to be their, like, must-pick in every single situation. I mean, it seems like it makes sense, right, for it to be, like, one of the best monsters you could use in every aspect of the game, but the unfortunate thing about it is, like, a lot of times it's not. A lot of times it's going to be like, oh, well, use it here, use it there, use it there, use it there. But not everywhere. Some of them are better for Guild Wars, some of them are better for Arena, some of them are better for RTA. I mean, I feel like, for the most part, Light Dark Nat 5 should be really good for Arena and RTA. Like, primarily. And then if they also happen to be good in other things, then that's great as well. But I just feel like that should be the place that they shine the most. Because everything can be good in dungeons. Everything can be good in Giants B10, Dragons B. Like, there's 3 stars and 4 stars that are good in a lot of these places. So I feel like the Light Dark Nat 5 should have some kind of advantage in PvP, mostly Arena. Either regular Arena or World Arena. And also in Guild Wars as well. But anyway, and everyone wants their unit to be like super OP. And another thing... Okay, well, we're gonna get started. But another thing is, like, there's no line where it's like, I made the 10 Light Dark Nat 5s, but there's no line where it's like, okay, these are 10 Light Dark Nat 5. It just happens to be 10, and then after the 10, nothing else needs a buff. Everything else is fine. You could argue that other units could be higher on the list than some of these, but there's a few of them that I think really need buffs, right? And a handful of them are like, yeah, it could use a buff. If it doesn't get a buff, it's usable unit, but it could use a little buff here and there. There's things that aren't on the list that could use buffs too. So I guess we'll talk about those at the end. These are not necessarily in order, but I thought it would just be fun to do. And people were requesting this, and I thought it would be a fun video to do anyway. Anyway, let's get to the first one. Again, not in any particular order. I think you guys thought the other one, the 10 Nat 5s that could use buffs, I think you guys thought that was in order too. I should have clarified as well. That's my fault. I should have clarified that was not in any specific order. Because I didn't rank them, but... I should have clarified anyway. Anyway, number 1. Well, I mean, if we use, of course, Wall Ying. So this is actually, first off, I want to shout out to AS Genesis and Marauder from Swag, and then to Super Wiener. Some of you guys know him. He's like a old school play. He's been playing this for forever. He's friends with JMac and a bunch of them. He is a G3 player on 2 different accounts that he plays on. So, for RTA and for Arena as well. So, shout out to all of them for comments and critiques and stuff like that for the list. So, the first one is Wall Ying. Wall Ying, okay, let's talk about why. First skill, leader skill good, really good. 28% speed lead, great. For me, I think that is amazing. Skill 1 is Sky Dancer, so it's the same skill 1 as the rest of them. Skill 2 is nice. It's a heal based on her attack power. She's got a skill 3 that's DPS, so makes sense for her to be big damage, and then she gets the benefit of she buffs her own attack. She does big damage, and she'll heal based on her attack power. That's really good that it's based on her attack power. Good combo with the Doublelution Empyrean Frigate. I know Shisao from the Europe server uses or at least he was using the Dark Sky Dancer Frigate Doublelution team. For Arena. Skill 3, though, lacks impact. So this is based on the critiques from Wall Ying users. This is basically the thing that people are saying she needs a buff for. Based on the feedback, Skill 3 doesn't hit hard enough, not hard as hard as it should be. And there's other things that that do the same thing as her Skill 3 as well. Like Nat 4s, like regular element Nat 4s that do the same thing. Suggestion, not a bad unit, definitely one I wouldn't mind having, but could use a damage buff to skill 3 or perhaps some kind of debuffs of some kind, not based on her own HP situation when she's... Yeah, the thing about that is, she's based on her HP situation for the skill 3. She's an aggro unit, she's supposed to get turn 1. Yeah, okay, she gets more damage when she's low on HP, but if she's going to be nuking anyway, like, she should be healing and she should be getting turn 1. You want her to do more HP, not when she's low on HP. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why it's like that specifically. But some kind of, maybe do damage based on, I don't know, I don't want to say, like, do damage based on speed or anything, but there's a little buff of some kind to make her have more damage output, a little bit more oomph from skill 3. I mean, think about it this way. Skill 3, okay, ignores damage reduction effects. There's other things like the Wind Chakram does that. There is the Dark Neostone Fighter does that. Nothing really super crazy to other units don't do. And I don't know, I just feel like it needs a little bit more. I mean, when you look at like something like Varad, AoE crowd control, AoE freeze, and attack age reduction, she's like, well, I ignore shields and I do a little damage. Fantastic. So I can kind of see, like, I love the speed lead. I love her skill 2, but I can kind of see, like, what they're talking about, where she needs, like, a little bit more excitement out of skill 3. Because skill 3 is just, like, it's, if you saw that on an Nat 5, you'd be like, oh, okay. I mean, not an Nat 5, a normal element Nat 4, you'd be like, okay, makes sense. So, anyway, moving on to number 2, the Bay. So, I was talking to some of the Bay users. I actually really like the Bay for his brand, right? But there's some problems with him, or there's some potential problems with him. Base stats are okay. He's got really, really good base HP. Why is the Light One better? I mean, why is it Light One has an AoE cleanse, heal, 2 debuffs on skill. His first skill is already better than the base, right? And he's got lower base HP by a noticeable amount, though. The Light One has noticeable lower base HP. The Dark One, and he's got a cleanse, revive, AoE revive. The Light One. The Light One feels like a Nat 5. The Dark One does not feel like a Dark One. It feels like, oh, that'd be a usable Nat 4. But yeah, base stats okay. Why is the Light One better? Elements seem to be flipped what they should be. He's a Nat 4 with really good base HP is basically what it is. Kind of feels like the same thing with the Dark Ninja. Nat 4 with really good base HP. Skill 1, Light 1 is a better skill. Better skills than Nat 4. Skill 2 is okay. It does big damage. Potentially big damage. And heals. Skill 3 is a great Lucian combo, right? Because you can AoE brand, like attack power, and you can brand, and then you can hit. I don't think too many people really think about it like this, but brand is one of the only things that increase the damage from Lucian. So if you have an AoE brand on the enemies, you're going to do more damage with your Lucian. He's not going to do more damage with the defense break because he already ignores defense, but with the brand, he'll do more damage. So I don't think a lot of people are really utilizing him. Oh, no, I'm childish, please. You're not utilizing him the best that you can be. But I think it's an interesting combination. Need something else. Shield, heal block, leader skill is literally the same as a Fire Nat 4 Maruna. It's an HP-based Guild Wars leader skill. Maruna has the same one. Water BK has the same one. Why not at least global, right? It's only Guild Wars, and it's the same as regular element Nat 4s. Not very exciting. Even Louise has a straight up better leader skill. She's got 44%. Louise is the Wind Paladin for a non-light Dark Nat 5. So a straight up better leader skill on a regular element Nat 5 than a light Dark Nat 5. Just straight up better. They're both for only Guild Wars as well. So suggestions: buff, skill 3, and leader skill. Give him Amarna's skill 1. FFS, which means Final Fantasy Sandwich, right? That's what it means. I'm sticking to it. Just some food for thought. Okay. Next one is Pontos. Okay. Why is Pontos not terrible? Skill 1 is good. The other ones have the same one. Skill 2 is good after the buff. Now it's 2 turns silence. Leader skill speed is great. Skill 3 is conditional on amount of debuffs. Sometimes great, sometimes not, depending on how many debuffs you have. If you want to use him first, because like he's got the speed lead. A lot of times you're going to be moving first with him. Just make skill 3 less conditional on the amount of debuffs to be very effective. This is based on I think the guy has 2. I'm trying to remember which 2 light dark lightning sea emperors he has. He's got both light and dark, but one of them he has dupes of, which is crazy. But anyway, he was the one that said just make skill 3 less conditional on the amount of debuffs. So moving on. This guy, man, I wanted to clickbait the crap out of the videos on him. Geldnir, Light Lightning Emperor. So basically, he's kind of like, he stacks and then you do damage to people and then he heals them passively based on that. It's like, you want to be exciting, but he's very boring to watch. And people that have him stop using him, like for like RTA. I mean, I know not everything should be based on RTA, but you don't really ever see. And he's one of the newer ones, so not that many people have him. But like, he doesn't make a whole lot of sense as well. Okay, why? So boring, especially compared to the Dark One, who's OP. I mean, this is, if you compare the two, it's like night and day. No pun intended on light and dark. The Dark One is crazy OP. And this one's really only useful as a stall tactic for defense, like Molly, best Guild War Guild Siege leader in the game, 33% speed lead for Guild Wars, for guild content. Leader skill and passive contradict each other, because based on where and how he should be used, right? So, I mean, you don't want to use it just for Guild Wars, but sure, it helps that he's got the best Guild War leader skill in the game. It's just, if he's like a reactionary unit with a proactive leader skill. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's contradicts himself. He should have a more proactive skill set for his leader skill, or a Guild War leader skill that's like 44% HP or something like that, where it makes more sense on this guy specifically. Skills niche in one area, leader skill niche in another different area, basically. Or you could use them in the same area, but still. His leader skill doesn't mix with his skills. HP would make more sense, or change his passive to be more aggro. Even so, he's just a stall tactic, really. He's not a threat of any kind. He's more just a annoying stall tactic. Light Dark Nat 5 stall tactic. Anyway, but yeah, man, I really wanted to do more crazy. I was hoping for him to be like so OP. But anyway, moving on. This guy, he's basically the same as Okinos. If you guys are because I'm saying these because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the third skills and the passives of some of these units. His first skill transfers a debuff, all the Sea Emperors do. His second skill strips and then resets like Okinos. His third skill does 50% more damage. I'm gonna try to remember this off the top of my head how it's exactly worded. 50% more damage when he has when the enemies have no debuffs, and 50% more damage when they have buffs. Hold on, let me read it exactly. Where is he? I want to read this exactly correct. Okay. 50% increased damage on enemies that are under harmful effects, and attacks will deal 50% increased damage on enemies that do not have any beneficial effects. So, I mean, he's outshined by Okinos, right, for the most part. In most areas, even outshined by Nat 4 Boomerang Warriors at this point. Because if we look, it's kind of similar to Sabrina. Let's see Sabrina's skills. Hold on. Where is Sabrina? Sabrina passive receives 35 less damage from enemies granted with beneficial effects. Whatever. 35% more damage on enemies with no beneficial effects. So, Sabrina mixed with Talia. I mean, we're seeing it's similar to Sabrina style. And yes, I know it's stronger and it's different, but it's just he doesn't get as much use as some of the other ones. He does do more damage. If you want to just nuke Aperna right down, he does do nuke Aperna very effectively. I was talking to Thompson about this, and he was like, yeah, he's really good for nuking Pernas. And then, like, I see all Thompson's replays. I'm like, you never use him. You never use him, no. Modification passive to make him more relevant more than just DPS, possibly a mix of Fire BK and the ability to revive passives or higher multiplication of damage. So the Fire BK, let me talk about the Fire BK. So the Fire BK, Surtur, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Fire BK. He got a buff to his stuff lately. Strikes the enemy with an axe. This attack will ignore all effects that resist death. Effects that resist death. So things like Triana, etc., etc. So I think that this would be an interesting way to buff the Dark Lightning Emperor. No, he doesn't need a buff. He doesn't need it. He's not on this list. Dark Lightning Emperor does not need a buff. Dark Sea Emperor, possibly something like that, you know. So next one. Oh my god. Where should we begin? Where should... You know what? I think it's better to start with Shazam, actually. Okay. Shazam, where shall we begin? Where shall we begin? Why? Stats are good. Multipliers are good. No problem there. Skill 1 versus Beladarian, who have 2-turn defense break. It would be nice to have, like, because a 1-turn defense break, if you get cut in, the defense break is no longer on them. They are no longer a target. Difference between 1-turn defense break and 2-turn defense break is really big in PvP. Unless your speed tuning is incredibly tight, which most 90% of players do not have very tight speed tuning. Hold on, 95 plus percent of players do not have very tight speed tuning. Let's be real. Skill 2 is good. Skill 2 is fine. Skill 3 versus Tyrant Skill 2. Okay, Skill 3. Skill 3 is an AoE. It does damage based on his HP, which is good, which is fine. But it's AoE glancing. It's nothing else, just AoE glancing. Tyrant Skill 2 is AoE glancing as well. Arya Skill 3 is AoE glancing and speed break. Dark Pony's Skill 2 human form, Skill 2, cycles her own turn plus defense break. Not defense. Cycles her own turn when she crits plus attack power break plus glancing hit. AoE, attack power break, AoE glancing hit, and cycles her own turn. Versus Shazam, who does one of those 3 things. It's her skill 2, is his skill 3, and it only does one of those things. Arya, speed breaks too. She speed breaks and she glancing hits. Charlotte AoE glancing hit is also attack gauge reduction. Shazam, only glancing hits. That's it. Yeah. Leader skill is basically pointless garbage. Right? Let me talk about this leader skill. Hold on. Leader skill is increases accuracy of ally monsters in dungeons by 55%. Ally monsters in dungeons. 55% dungeon accuracy leader skill. Wow. Hold on. Stop the presses. 55. Why? He's for Guild Wars. Right now he's for Guild War defense, and potentially he could be good for arena defense in the future, depending on how he's maybe changed in the future. Same thing with Raoul, the dark one. The dungeon lead is pointless. It's nonsense. No one's running it. I mean, if you have Shazam when you're like level 20, yes, you're using him in dungeons. Yes, you're going to use him in your first Giants B10 team. He's going to be fine for your first Giants B10 team in dungeons, right? At level 20. But you're going to eventually move on to... There's no reason to choose him over like a double Lucian Galleon and 2 single target DPS units. There's no reason to use him in Dragon's B10. There's no reason to use him in Necropolis. Why does he have a dungeon accuracy leader skill? I don't understand. It makes no sense where he's supposed to be used. Suggestion, 2-turn defense break on skill 1. Leader skill for where he's supposed to be used, which is like Guild War or Arena. Like HP, leader skill would be great. Right? That would make him really good. Skill 3 that makes sense in PvP. Instead of just AoE glancing, he needs something else. Or something. Something. Kumar buff made him much better. Hopefully Light Dark Beast Monk gets the same. So Kumar, you do see Kumar being used more now. But I mean, they already listened for the Kumar. Hopefully they'll listen. They'll change the Light and Dark Beast Monks. I'm not just like, I know I have one. I'm like complaining. Like, I like his stats, but aside from that, if I had Ritesh, I would probably use Ritesh more. Because the AoE defense breaker is really strong. Kumar is really good. It's just the skill. It's what he does for skill 3 is... And the defense break for 1 turn is not really fun when you're not speed tuned correctly. You know what I mean? Well, even when you are speed tuned correctly, if you're not speed tuned tightly, it's kind of doesn't really do much. Unless you violent proc. So, Guild War defense, though, is going to violent proc 17 times. So he's good when he violent procs a lot. But his base HP is great for Guild Wars, right? It's just the glance. AoE glance. Come on, man. Come on. And the leader skill? I don't know. Oh, okay. So Raoul, same basic idea. Same basic reasons. Stats are good. Multipliers are good. Why not 2-turn brand? Right? Why not 2-turn brand? Because a brand is different from like a stun. Right? Like I say, Chandra's got a stun. The stun completely nullifies one of their turns. The brand is not nullifying a turn of anything. It doesn't like decrease the attack gauge down to 0 or anything. Skill 3 is only relevant if you're fast enough to apply before they buff. A lot of things, a lot of buffers are speed tuned to go very fast. Bastard, Wusa, Veligil, all of these things are very, very fast units. So what is he going to do if he's a slow unit? He's got, 96 base speed? 96 base speed. He's a slow unit. There's no way he's going to outspeed, like, a Bastard or like, any, like, he's not going to outspeed them, right? You don't build a 300 speed, Raoul. It's just not a thing. There's, I mean... 300 speed roll in before new meta. Okay, guys. You know what I mean now. And then it doesn't make they're gonna have will runes anyway, so it doesn't make sense. He's a slow unit, so it doesn't make sense unless he strips along with it, right? Why is Zinc a better skill 3 overall than his skill? Zinc will do AoE multi-hit that does he does the same thing with skill 3. He blocks beneficial effects, but he also decreases attack power. And he's another dark tanky bruiser. But I mean, like, you compare Raoul to Zinc. Zinc is the dark living armor. You compare the two, like, Zinc is a really great unit, actually. But he has an AoE defense break as well, and he does a skill 1 stun. You compare the two, like, I would rather use Zinc. Aside from base stats are better on this guy. But I would rather use Zinc than I would Raoul. It's just, he needs more. Skill, leader skill. He's got an amazing leader skill. He's got increases attack power of ally monsters in dungeons by 44%. 44% dungeon leader skill. 44. This is an amazing leader skill. Like I said, the leader skill is amazing for something that is not him. For so many other things, that would be an amazing, phenomenal leader skill. That amazing dungeon leader skill. He is not a dungeon unit. He is a unit for, again, arena defense, guild war defense. Or you could use him as a tanky bruiser for Guild War offense or whatever. But, I mean, it makes no sense if you're like, again, as I said with the light one, if you're a level 20 and you got a Dark Beast Monk, you're going to use him in dungeons, but other than that, it's not a late game thing at all for dungeons. Suggestion, two-turn defense brand. 2-turn brand on the first skill is what I meant to say. I don't know. Guild War Arena defense leader skill and skill 3 that makes sense. Like a thing that makes sense for where he's supposed to be used. Leader skill that makes sense for where he's supposed to be used. Skill 3 that makes sense in PvP. Instead of just the block. Strip block would be very strong. Strip block, would that be too strong though? I mean, strip and block beneficial effect is really nice. AoE strip. Anything that AoE strips and does something else is really strong. I mean, look at Gianna. Very strong. Not a bad unit. Well, hold on. Is Gianna still meta relevant? Does she need a buff? No. That was a joke. Anyway, moving on. He needs love. Jaeger. Okay, so I don't have much experience with Jaeger, but I was talking to Jaeger users, and I stopped into Snow's stream. If you guys know Snow, one of the Korean players, G3 player, talking about Jaeger buffs. He actually said Jaeger, he thought that it would be nice to switch the Ragdoll and Jaeger skill 2s, but some people disagreed, etc., etc. But I have some other ideas for Jaeger. Why? Passive's nice, but Fire Monkey has a defense break and a better leader skill because it's multi-element, right? So this is the feedback that I'm getting from Jaeger users. It's not just based on my opinion. Like, I mean, a lot of this is based on my opinion, but also it's based on, like, I try to understand what other people are talking about or thinking of when they're talking about, like, oh, I don't like this unit, I don't like that unit. Like, I like Dragon Knights as tanky bruisers in general, but I can understand what they're saying. Like, Fire Monkey has a defense break, better leader skill, because it applies to everyone, right? Instead of just light, because not too many people are running an all light team with this guy. Especially since he's usually picked last if you're going to use him in RTA, for example. He's got no point in arena defense or arena offense. So RTA makes the most sense for him. It makes kind of sense to use him in some guild wars and guild sieges. But just taking him out of... there's just better units for, like, dungeons. There's better units for TOA. There's just, like... He's for Guild Wars, Guild Siege, and RTA, basically. So, suggestion. Slight ATB increase whenever enemy is CC'd. Keeps up with the family theme like the Dark One. Okay, so Ragdoll, you know what Ragdoll does. Increases when your team is crit on. Will increase the attack age of your team. For the Light One, I was thinking increase just the attack age of himself whenever an ally is CC'd. It's supposed to say whenever an ally is CC'd, but I'm dumb. But increases the attack age of Jaeger whenever an ally is CC'd. I think that would be a nice thing for him. It keeps up with like Ragdoll increases attack age. He increases attack age too. Leo has attack age manipulation stuff, so it makes sense for him to be like the same thing as not the same thing, similar to Leo with attack age stuff. It keeps in line with the theme of the Dragon Knights. Would help with turn cycling, which is very crucial in RTA, and make it more meta relevant. I think it's a nice little buff that could potentially make him more usable without being like broken and crazy, etc., etc. I mean, you could also say like slight attack age increase, like 10% attack age for the whole team, but I don't know if that's necessary or might make it like super OP. I don't know. Some of those things require testing, but maybe 20% attack age increase of himself, or 25% for himself whenever an ally is CC'd might be kind of a fun thing, right? Might be kind of makes him more relevant. He's still kind of a counter pick to things though. He's not useful in every situation, but in RTA a lot of CC going on, he would be great for buffs for that. Anyway, moving on, Jara. So I have a lot of, like, everyone that gets Jara seems to think that Jara needs a buff. So I'm trying to think of, like, Jara's similar to Perna. Jara has the same first skill and second skill as Perna. But the third skill is a passive. It brands and it stops the enemy from reviving. Passively. But it's only single target, right? It's only a single target unit. Good damage. Brand is great. Base attack is great on Jara. I think Jara has really good base HP too, if I remember. I think base HP is good, but base defense is bad. Yeah, base speed is only 94, base defense 439, attack over 1,000, 1021. HP is 10,215. I mean, it could be higher. It's not Perna HP, but it's at least not as bad as it could be, right? It's not like 8,000 base HP. Good damage, brand is great. Leader skill is 100% pointless nonsense. Leader skill is dungeon resistance by 55%. Wow. That dungeon resistance, though, on a Light Dark Nat 5 that you basically use not in dungeons. Yeah. More damage than Avaris, but still too close in skills to an easy-to-obtain Nat 4. OP in Light Dark Rift, in Light Rift. Really OP in Light Rift though. He's gonna do a lot of damage to the Light Rift. Big burst damage with the second skill. I mean, you still want Perna's leader skill on him for the Light Rift beast, but he also brands, which is nice, and element advantage, so he's gonna take less damage, do more damage. Suggestion: Comptos won't make a PvP leader skill when the other Phoenixes are PvE, right? So Comptos is not gonna do like arena attack lead for the Dark Phoenix when Perna is like dungeon, Sigmaris is dungeon, all the other ones are dungeon leader skills. So they're not going to say like, okay, Jara, you can have a Guild War leader skill. They don't do that. It would make more sense for some of these Nat 5s to be leader skills in one area of the game, but they tend to, if the family says, even though it doesn't make sense, if the family is a dungeon leader skill family, that's going to have a dungeon leader skill. Even if it's even if the monster's skill set says this is not the right place for this, they still do that, and they are not going to change because that's just how they operate. I could complain till I'm blue in the face, but it's not gonna do any good. So anyway, even if it makes no sense at all, relevant leader skill attack percentage, death prevention, revive mechanic would be nice as well. Or perhaps multi-hits so that it procs Triana's passive, etc., etc. But then the multi-hits are not going to be as good in certain spots. You kind of want the one-hits, so the one-hit wonder. He really needs an attack power leader skill, possibly a death prevention or a revive thing like Perna does. I mean, he doesn't even have the heal of Perna, and Perna has a better leader skill. And he doesn't revive, like, so maybe at least give him the revive or something. Avaris revives. Other things, like Rocky prevents her own death with skill 3, so maybe something like that. Anyway, yeah. Moving on. Last one. I know some of you are like, what? I have one that's not on the list. It needs a buff. It needs a buff. There's so many that we could. I mean, I wanted to put Trinity on here too, but Trinity's speed lead is so great though. Trinity's speed lead is so great, and Han needs a buff. Trinity's speed lead is great. Trinity would be better with just the honorable mention Trinity. People complain about Akroma too, because Akroma still dies to Lucian Bulldozer, right? Akroma's good against like a lot of other stuff, but still dies to Lucian Bulldozer. But Trinity, 33% speed lead, but is an HP based unit and doesn't do as much damage as other things. Doesn't like reset like Samoth does. People were complaining, they're like, well, if I have Samoth, I don't need Trinity. And I was looking for a good argument to come back with that against them, and I didn't have one. So maybe Trinity could use a buff as well. Also change because the base attack is not great on Trinity, and doesn't do a tremendous amount of damage with the skills. So it's great speed lead though. Great speed lead. Anything with the speed lead just gets extra bonus points that makes up for other stuff by having a speed lead, especially in arena where speed is the most important thing. But anyway, Han. Oh god, Han. He's a worse version of Garo and Diana. I mean, he's really just a worse version of Diana. Like, if you have Diana and you have Han, why would you pick Han unless you're also running Gianna and Frigate with that? Really though, it's not even sarcasm. Diana, passive, she increases her attack gauge. She also fully increases her attack gauge when she crits on things. She does have to crit, but as long as you build her with good crit and you're not trying to go after only fire units, she will increase her attack gauge to the max with her passive in human form. Han does not do that. He increases it most of the way, but there's still a percentage that he's not fully increased for things to come in and smack him in the face. Good base stats. Good base stats though. No problem with Han's base stats. Han has great base stats. No complaints there. Leader skill, I get it. Ninjas are all 30% leader skill. That's fine. It's only dark, but it's 30% and it's good. I mean, if he countered better with or comboed better with more things that needed Swift for like there were dark units that needed Swift or super. I think if he just had better combos for the speed lead to work with, that might make him more relevant as it is. But his skills aren't even as good as most normal element Nat 4s. He's just DPS. He's just single target DPS. I mean, Garo's more relevant and used more. Garo's been countered more lately because people like just this current meta of Fran, at the time I'm making this video, Fran, Water Monkey, and Vertiheel are super relevant in RTA, and Garo has been suffering because of that, because like the first couple picks are like, well, these all counter Garo. GG Garo, not your season, buddy. Well, I mean, you still see Garo pick though, but I'm just saying. But yeah, he's just single target DPS. There's a lot of other single target DPS units. He doesn't scream out like Light Dark Nat 5. If his skill sets were on a regular element Nat 4, it would make sense. You wouldn't be like, wow, that's an OP Nat 4. That's amazing. OP Wind Nat 4. Holy crap. It's like, no, it would make sense on a regular element Nat 4. But he's ninja based, right? So, suggestions, speed scaling maybe? Makes sense for his leader skill. You build him fast, so he scales with speed. Death prevention passive, kind of like because the water one has a crit resist and resistance passive as well, but that never works. Who else? Garo has a death prevention passive. He's a ninja. I feel like maybe death prevention passive might be cool. Something like Garo, maybe. Full attack bar, increase skill 3, strip skill 3, something like that. Like some combination of a few things. It's only single target. It doesn't like defense break. Even if you put a defense break on the first on the first hit, like 100% chance to defense break on the first hit on skill 3, and he fully increases his attack gauge, that would be a phenomenal unit. Like, that wouldn't even be, that would be like, yes, build that one. Good. I will use him in many more matches now. Who does that? Who does the Wind Puree does that. The Wind Puree skill 3 is a multi-hit that has a defense break built in. Why can't he be as good as the Wind Puree? Why can't he be as good as Diana? I think like she cycles it completely. Just needs. I mean, like, he needs more. He deserves more. Han, you deserve more. And I know I'm being impartial because I have Han, that I think he needs more. And I know you guys are gonna disagree with me on some of these. Because I mean, like, here's the thing: you can use Han, but he's like my biggest unit that I'm like, I wish I could pick him like all the time. I wish I could pick him like all the time, but I can't, and it upsets me. Because he's so cool, especially with his transmog. He's so cool looking. He's such a cool looking unit, and I just want to use him in like every single match, and like just only like seriously. Oh my goodness, Han. I would use you every single match. If you got buffed, I would use you all the time. Anyway, I know you guys are going to be like, oh, you didn't mention Nephthys. I know a lot of you guys want the Nephthys buff. I have Nephthys, actually. I mean, Nephthys, I feel Nephthys, by using her against using Han. And I've seen people use Nephthys in like G3 to show how not good she is, and then she works, and then I'm like, how are you showing how not good she is? She's a 24% speed lead. Speed lead is already great. I know her activation for skill 2 is not super activated. She can't be resisted, right? She can't be resisted with skill 2. She can't be CC'd with her passive. And she has a speed lead, and she has 4 debuffs. I mean, AoE with 3 debuffs, and then the attack break on skill 1. I think she's... I'm sorry, I have her. I actually have Nephthys on one of my accounts, and I don't see that she's as bad as some of the other ones that need buffs more. I just... Like, I know that you guys disagree with me, but I'ma still stick to my guns. Alexandra, same thing. There's just things that need, like, Alexandra does so much. She does attack break, she cycles her turn, she does glancing hit, and like AoE attack break, glancing hit, cycles turns. She shields, she reflects damage, she stuns with skill 1. Like, Alexandra does a lot of things. She's not as relevant in the meta as other things, but she still does a lot of, like, she's got a lot of stuff that she does. It's a unit that I have. I'm gonna try to be fair about like the things that I have that I've seen that work, that are good, and that I have that are like, oh, that's not as good as this one. Like, if I had to choose, if you said, okay, take this into RTA, you have to do it shouldn't always be about RTA, but take this into Guild Wars, take this into Dungeon. Would you rather use Shazam or Alexandra in Hall of Heroes? I would say Alexandra. Would you rather use Shazam or like or Alexandra in TOA? I would choose Alexandra. Would you rather use what about Arena Defense? Alexandra. I mean, I don't think Alexandra is that amazing for Arena Defense. I'm just saying, like, what would you rather, if you had to choose this or that? It would, in RTA as well. What is going to have a better win rate? Alexandra is going to have a better win rate than Shazam. I mean, it's just... Some things need them more than others. Some things might not be as meta relevant, but still might be useful. And I know there's other, like, everyone's got everyone wants everything to be OP, and Light Dark Nat 5 should be OP. There's so many different things. There's so many, like, I want to talk about, like, the Dark Dragon needs a better skill activation rate on skill 2. So it's not like the list ends and then everything else is fine. It's just like trying to find the top 10. Right? But then when it goes into like 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, with 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 numbers. It's such a gray area of like what is like maybe 13, but you could argue that it could be higher and in the top 10 anyway. So like it's just I guess food for thought more than anything else. And I don't want to like number these to be like this one needs it the most. But yeah. Anyway, what do you guys think? I know you guys are gonna disagree, but I'm just I was trying to take a lot of feedback from different people that I saw, like what people have been complaining about more in my chat, in Twitch, in the comments about this and that. Like, well, you have this, but just be glad you don't have this. And then there's like 10 other comments arguing beneath that, and like just trying to take a lot of different things into consideration. But I know you guys still have a lot of other things that you want. Everyone wants any Nat 5 that someone pulls, they need that buffed, because it needs to be the most OP monster in the game. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, disclaimer number 57. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did not mean it to be 40 minutes long. I thought it was like 20 minutes long. I'm sorry. I didn't look at the clock. My bad. I talk way too much. Hope you guys at least enjoyed it. I will see you as always in the next one.